Hello and welcome to Tête-à-Tête, France 24's flagship interview show. Our guest today is the President of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you.
On August 8th, there was a trilateral summit at the White House with you, Armenia's Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, US President Donald Trump, and a declaration to end the conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia was signed. Promises to reopen transportation routes and normalize relations. Can you tell us whether total peace and full normalization is now coming soon?
I think so, because signing of this historical document in the White House in the presence of President of the United States, who, by the way, also signed the joint declaration as a witness, means that the conflict is over and we entered the period of peace, which I hope will be forever. Since that time, more than 6 months passed, and we have a very quiet situation on the border with Armenia. No more shootings, no victims, no wounded. Azerbaijan unilaterally lifted the restrictions on transit of goods to Armenia. And also, we started to supply critical for Armenia oil products, which actually marks the beginning of our trade relations. So we can see that the peace is already achieved. There are certain formalities in order to sign a final peace agreement, but along with the declaration which you mentioned, also foreign ministers of both countries in Washington initialed the text of peace agreement. So for me, it is done. I think the same opinion has the Prime Minister of Armenia. We are just learning to live in peace, and it's a very good feeling.
It's a very good feeling. However, what's missing for full normalization? I understand for Azerbaijan, there's an issue with Armenia's constitution and language pertaining to territorial claims on Karabakh. Is this an absolute red line for you? Without this being changed, there will not be normalization.
Yes, you're right. There'll be no signing of peace agreement. I would divide normalization with formal peace agreement because normalization already takes place. As I said, all these positive developments show that. But Armenian constitution, which was adopted a long time ago during the times of occupation of Karabakh, it contains a reference to Declaration of Independence of Armenia, which contains a paragraph that so-called Nagorno-Karabakh and Armenia should unite. So this is a territorial claim to Azerbaijan. Our position for many years, since the end of Second Karabakh War, was very clear. This should be changed. And as far as I know, Armenia is planning to hold a referendum. And as soon as it is done, there will be no obstacles in formal signing of peace agreement. But again, I'd like to underline that for Azerbaijan, peace is achieved. Normalization process is moving successfully. And I hope that as soon as these legal formalities are done, so we will have a formal peace.
This year?
Definitely.
J.D. Vance, the vice president, visited both countries. There were announcements of strategic partnership where U.S. would sell all kinds of weapons now to Azerbaijan. There's also this so-called TRIP project, the Trump Road for International Peace and Prosperity, a road and rail link through Armenia to your exclave of Nakhichevan. Is this a pie in the sky, or is this really going to happen and change the dynamics?
I have no doubt that it will happen. One of the reasons is that, again, United States played a crucial role in this process. And the route which will connect two parts of Azerbaijan through Armenia and even more will stretch to European continent carries the name of President Trump. It's Trump Route for International Peace and Prosperity. And I think that this very personal commitment of US President and also the agenda of US government shows that the trip will be built. It's not a big distance. It's only 40 plus kilometers. By the way, I'd like to say that the railroad which Azerbaijan is now building to Armenian border from the capital is about 400 kilometers, plus almost 200 kilometers in our Nakhchivan exclave to be rehabilitated. So Armenian segment of the Zangezur corridor, as we call it, is very short, and I'm sure that it will be done. And coming to the question about Vice President Vance's visit, yes, it was a very important visit. Visit in itself of Vice President of United States is important for any country. In this case, it was marked with the signing of the Charter on Strategic Partnership between the government of United States and Azerbaijan. Thus, we became an official strategic partner to the most powerful country of the world, and we consider it as a big success for our country. And this strategic charter, it was published in the press, so it contains different segments. One of them was defense sales, but not only. It's energy, connectivity, AI, investment and trades, and also all the restrictions on the arms supplies to Azerbaijan have also been lifted.
I want to get to a decision by a military court in your country handed a harsh sentence prisons to 13 officials of the Nagorno-Karabakh region, including life imprisonment for the former leader. There were reports that the US Vice President talked about the issue and asked for you maybe to grant them a pardon as a way to seek peace in the region. Did he do this, and will you do this?
During the interaction with Vice President, which lasted for several hours, among other issues, this issue also was raised by him. And I expressed Azerbaijan's position on this issue, and that was it. We mainly discussed bilateral relations, regional development, trip, and prospects for formal peace with Armenia. With respect to these people whom you mentioned, these are the leaders of the separatist regime, illegal separatist regime, which illegally functioned on our territory, on the territory of sovereign Azerbaijani state, recognized as it by all international community, including Armenia. For many years, these people were masterminds of all the war crimes against Azerbaijanis and Azerbaijan. And they were brought to justice. They were detained in Karabakh as a result of our military operation and brought to justice. They've been provided with lawyers. The trial was absolutely transparent. Their crimes have been proved by the testimonies of the witness, numerous testimonies, and there is no question about the suspicious about some
But you can
wrongdoing.
do something about this, Mr. President, no?
Oh, what do you mean?
Turn the page and grant them clemency or something. You could do a gesture. This is within your powers.
You know, these people committed serious crimes against humanity. Imagine after Second World War, Nuremberg trial, and all those Nazi leaders which have been sentenced to death. In 2 months, some would come and say, please release them.
It's the same for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's even worse, even worse. The crime was even worse than what Nazis did during the World War II.
But in terms of turning the page, do you also maybe have some compassion for the Armenians who had to leave Karabakh as a result of the latest war?
Our position on that issue was very clear. It was articulated many times, including publishing it on the website, that we offered all Armenians who lived in Karabakh to apply for citizenship or to apply for work permit. We had several rounds of interactions with the representatives of Karabakh Armenians. but they preferred to choose to leave for Armenia. We have hundreds of thousands of Azerbaijanis who've been deported and ethnically cleansed from the territory of today's Armenia. But never Armenian government offered any kind of, proposals for them to come back. I think we need to treat this issue from a reciprocal point of view. The right for return is universal right. And of course, Azerbaijan will definitely observe this right if we have such an application. But at the same time, taking into account that we were at war with Armenia for 30 years, and for 30 years they were occupying our territory, we expect the same attitude to hundreds of thousands of Azerbaijanis, who we call Western Azerbaijanis, to be able to return to today's Armenia.
I want to quickly get to the relation with France. It was very bad, especially during the last war. You criticized France for being a colonial power in New Caledonia, in Corsica, very harsh words. A few months ago, a French citizen, Théo Claire, was freed. There's another one who's currently on trial. You met the French president briefly on the sidelines of a European summit. Would you say that the relation is back on track, or that there are still problems between Azerbaijan and France?
We were not the source of the problems with France. We had very good relations with France before the Second Karabakh War. There have been visits of presidents, of President Sarkozy, President Hollande, official visits, my official visits to France. Also, I visited France during the term of President Macron. We had very friendly relations, a lot of business activity, more than a dozen sister cities. But when the Second Karabakh War started and we started to restore our territorial integrity, unfortunately, position of France was absolutely ununderstandable, because France is defending territorial integrity of countries. It tries to defend its own territorial integrity. Now it defends the territorial integrity of Denmark. They defend the territorial integrity of Ukraine, but unfortunately they supported separatists. More than 10 resolutions of National Assembly and Senate were aimed to support separatists, and even your parliament recognized so-called Nagorno-Karabakh, though even Armenia did not recognize. Also, relations with the government were tense, but again, we were not the source of this tension. We only wanted our sovereignty to be respected.
But you used very harsh words.
Well, I did not start to use the harsh words. What was done on behalf of Azerbaijan, I want you to be absolutely sure, was only a response. We have a catalogue of harsh words which were used by French president and many French officials, chairman of your Senate, chairman of your National Assembly, your famous personalities which use the word which insulted our state and me personally. Moreover, after the Second Karabakh War of 2020, before anti-terror operation of 2023, very famous French personalities like Madame Pécresse, Monsieur Barnier, Monsieur Retallo, all the names are familiar to the audience, they illegally visited Karabakh and supported the separatists. So that was an open insult to Azerbaijan's statehood and total sign of disrespect. All what has been said or done by us was done and said in response. Maybe it was harsh, it's difficult to measure, but I think important is, as you mentioned, my meeting with President Macron in the end of last year. It was very positive, and we agreed to put a restart button. We are ready for that. The last thing we need is to have problems with any country, including France. Again, it was not our initiative. But now I think both sides are more ready to normal relations, especially after Armenia and Azerbaijan already achieved peace.
So as a conclusion, we can expect maybe you to meet the French president in the near future?
Yes, definitely. By the way, our meeting in Copenhagen was very friendly. And of course, since the meeting, it took place several months ago, there have been a lot of interaction between our teams. They regularly contact each other. There have been several meetings. Yes, there are still some issues which President Macron and myself underlined to be settled by both sides. But again, it's important to understand that it's a road with both directions. And as two sovereign countries, we need to respect each other's legal system, and also not to interfere each other's affairs. We were not the first, if I may use your word, to talk about Caledonia, etc. It was France who started to interfere into our internal affairs about Karabakh, and not only, even into our political agenda. So this should be stopped. And I think the way how to do it, both sides know.
President Ilham Aliyev, thank you very much for being our guest, and thank you all for watching this edition of Tête à Tête here on France 24.